do you miss being single right now at this moment?
And give it the proper amount of mental processing to indicate that I'm not too eager.
On the menu today at Sarah's Soju Cafe is mixed berry greens, so grab your mugs and let's chat about singlehood. Mic check. Mic check, check, check. Mike is checking.
Yo, Mike is checking. Yo, he's checking it. It's good.
Dun, dun, dun. Welcome back, Soju Shotties, to another episode.
Wait, can I do it in Korean?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Never mind. It's taking too long to translate in my head. Let's just do it.
Wait, you can begin it in Korean. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요, 여러분. To another episode of
Soju with Sarah. We welcome all our Korean and non-Korean podcast
our
listeners.
한국인 and our non-한국인 podcast audience. And people are probably like, James's Korean sucks. And right now it does, because I barely speak it now.
Well, I'm pretty bad at my Chinese now too, because we don't speak to each other in our native tongues.
Yeah, but I think once we're with our parents, it starts to like become more fluent again, you know?
Or you mean you start realizing how much you've lost the last couple of years? That's my experience with my parents.
Yeah. Well, when I talked to my parents when we visited recently, no, it was like fine. Yeah. But when I'm not with them, I'm like, my Korean's terrible.
That's fair. We saw your parents in Philadelphia because your sister's in Philly right now.
The city of brotherly love.
Is that what Philadelphia is?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
Oh.
The city of brotherly love. Philo means love. Phila.
In Latin?
Del of. Fia. I think that's brother.
At this point, it just sounds like gibberish.
No, I actually think that's true. Now I have to look it up, but please keep going.
Okay. Well, I haven't seen James's parents in a while. Actually, if we're counting, it's probably been like 5 years. So that was a good experience and I missed them very much and it was great. We got dinner. We played Monopoly Deal, actually. And totally unrelated, but if you guys are a new listener to this podcast, welcome. We welcome you with our big
open arms.
And if you are new, I actually prompt you guys to go to our Instagram. We created this, it's very cute actually. We created this glossary of Soju with Sarah terms. So if you feel like you're behind on any of the terms, Soju shoddy, anxious slab of butter, anything
frequently
like that,
used terms that we have.
Producer, we have a glossary and it is very cute and we spent a lot of time making it. So go check it out. And go follow us if you have any mobility in your thumbs.
What a great way to say that.
Yes.
Really quickly, the most uninteresting part of this podcast, Philadelphia comes from the Greek words philo, meaning loving, and adelphos, meaning brother.
Oh.
Thus translating to brotherly love. Okay, let's
very interesting.
Move on.
Fun tidbit of the day.
Yes.
And more housekeeping stuff. If you guys enjoy this podcast, please like, subscribe, share, and turn on post notifications because we post every Friday. I know some of you guys know that we post every Friday, but some of you guys do not. So putting that out there, do with it what you want. But thank you for joining us this Soju Friday. We hope you guys are having an amazing Friday, or at least just pretending to do work and not doing anything in place of it.
Yes, as many of you seem to do, which we totally encourage actually. So keep doing that.
Corporate America who?
Yeah, corporate America didn't see us Soju Shotties come in.
But anyways, today's episode might be a little bit of a short one, but we wanted to talk about a topic that we haven't really talked about before, which is singlehood. Being single, experiencing dating and like the dating world as a single person. Last episode, you guys know that James poured his entire heart and soul out, which I implore you guys to listen to because that one, I've never seen you that vulnerable online and I really, really, truly appreciated it. I cried a lot in that episode. We talked about his commitment to me. That's a weird thing to say, like commitment to...
Just my experience with our relationship.
Yeah. And so please go check out that one. If there's any episode that I recommend, it's that one.
I do think it's a funny juxtaposition of titles to talk about like long-term commitment from me last week. And then this week is like
singlehood.
Do you miss being single? Or whatever the title is. That's the only thing. I think it's a funny juxtaposition.
Yeah. Do not worry. We are not on the verge of...
Yeah. I just wanted to say I feel like a lot of our topics are relationship based just because that's like what we know. We've been together for so long and it's been so long since we've been single. But one comment that I felt touched by in our episode about parents and what we owe our parents, which I think is underrated. I think you guys should go check it out if you haven't watched it yet. Someone talked about how like while we do have decent to good relationships with our parents, we tried to acknowledge people who didn't, and give a lot of airtime to that as well. And I feel like while we talk about the relationship stuff, because that's where we add the most value on the podcast, we also want to make our soju shotties who are single also feel acknowledged and talk more about that experience, because I think it's one that is very like overlooked in society in general.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to like give more shine to the experience of being single, what it's like, what we think of singlehood or singleness from when we were single, I guess, too.
Yeah.
But just thought it'd be a good, maybe just a different topic we could talk about.
Yeah. So today we're talking about singlehood. And before we get into it, we have our drink of the day. We have a mixed berry drink from Be Amazing, actually mixed with makgeolli.
This is totally not leftover makgeolli from the last episode that we just batch filmed. And it's a different week.
It's because we're going to Asia next week for a wedding, and we don't have a lot of time to film episodes here. So there might be a handful, maybe one or two episodes in Asia, which will be fun. But I just wanted to make sure that we can get episodes out for you guys every week. So without further ado, let's get started. Woo. Okay, so the last time that we were single was probably, if we're not counting the break that we had in our relationship.
What do you mean probably? Is there a time I don't know about?
No, I'm just kidding. This was 7 years ago.
7 years ago, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my God.
Yeah. A question that I've been prompted with sometimes, not very frequently, but once in a blue moon, is do you ever wish you were single again? And I wanted that to anchor this episode because there's a lot of different experiences that you go through as a single person versus someone who's in a relationship versus someone who's in a long-term relationship that I feel like doesn't get acknowledged as much. Something that you mentioned earlier is society kind of like values people who are in relationships. And I thought that was an interesting point to start off with, which is that, yeah, everything in society is kind of made for the people in...
It's catered to the family unit, right?
Yeah, it is catered to the family unit. We were looking at phone plans recently just for the two of us, and it's so much more expensive. It's like $90, or not 90, it's like $160 for two people, and then $170 for like four people. Just something dramatic like that.
Well, it's the fact that not only is it catered towards people who are in relationships, it is catered towards people with families, with children.
Yeah.
And there's that saying that like the family unit is like the building block of society or whatever, and that is literally how it's set up in society. Like we were looking at phone plans, like you said, and it's so expensive for two people, but if you get three people on a family plan, it suddenly becomes like so much cheaper per line.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, so they're incentivizing, well, I'm not gonna have a kid just because I want a cheaper phone plan.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, but like obviously like there is financial incentive involved with everything. It just like per person it gets cheaper, right? Even
health
with
insurance,
other health insurance, with rent, like it's better to share a 1-bedroom with a partner, and you're not going to share a 1-bedroom with like a random roommate, right? So,
yeah. Honestly, when I saw the phone plan thing, I was like, we better get these babies coming out soon.
Yeah.
So because we're talking about whether or not we miss singlehood, I don't want us to just be like, yeah, we do miss singlehood. I'm sure there's moments maybe where we like remember what singlehood was like, but I looked this up on Reddit, and a lot of people have strong opinions. Like when you're in a relationship, you should be committed and you should value the relationship, but it's okay to feel like you miss aspects of singlehood. And so I wanted to first go through like the top things that I noticed people saying on Reddit when it comes to singlehood and what people miss specifically about singlehood. Also, it was really funny reading these on Reddit because the number of stories where people are like, I've been dating my partner for 3 years, but somehow I really miss being single. Like, does anyone else feel this way? Actually, a lot of people feel that way. I guess maybe a better leading question for this is, have you ever missed being single? Or do you miss being single right now at this moment?
And give it the proper amount of mental processing to indicate that I'm not too eager to be single sometimes.
Yeah, 1, you gotta pause 2, a little.
3. Maybe sometimes I could potentially see the possibility of maybe wanting to maybe sometimes be single.
Totally not a very long-winded way to say that. Yes, sometimes you do feel
like,
which is okay.
Never seriously at all. But there are, I don't know, as someone who previously did enjoy having like alone time and just time to myself to just sit and think or enjoy something. Yeah, there's definitely moments. I will say when you're out of town and I get to watch movies that I probably wouldn't watch with you just because I feel like they're a little too out there to subject you to them.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is nice to be able to like watch these things that I wouldn't watch with you.
Yeah, that's true.
What about you though?
I would say similar. What you were saying though about being able to just watch movies that you want to while I'm gone is one of the biggest things people said on Reddit, which is the freedom and independence that you have when you're single. You don't always get when you're in a relationship. And a lot of people miss the freedom from being on anyone else's clock and having to be mindful of anyone else's schedule, time, or timelines. I think that is one of the biggest things. And I think about this sometimes too, where anything nowadays, I have to ask if you're available for it. Like if friends doing something, if someone has a wedding, I have to check in with your schedule. I have to check in with mine. I have to make sure things work out. And it's never just about me anymore. It's like we are a unit. And I kind of miss that era where I just had to care for myself. Like I had to figure stuff out on my own and just think about myself selfishly.
This is a leading question, but do you feel like there's some aspect of you have some expectation that I need to be there or that you want me there with you to like soothe some anxiety rather than you actually having to have me at things?
Is it bad to say that I think it's just a habit nowadays? Like it's a habit to have you around me. And once it's a habit, everyone takes it also. It
only takes 30 days, right?
To build a habit. Oh, to break a
habit. Build a habit, yeah.
Yeah.
Build the opposite habit.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe it's a mix of everything. I'm not used to myself being alone anymore. And that's something that I sit with alone and think about.
Yeah. Why is that? Are you someone who was okay being alone before?
Ironically, I guess I'm not too used to being alone because my mom was always around, but I was an only child, which you would think makes me more predispositioned to be alone. But I'm so used to having someone around and maybe someone to talk to that when we got into a relationship, I leaned on you a lot. And we do have an episode about codependency that we talked a little bit about this, but
we're getting to the point where we've covered everything, so we can just be like, we had an episode about that.
Yeah, just go to that episode. But I think I am the type of person to want someone around. However, I'm perfectly okay doing things alone. My preference is to not do things alone.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But I do miss the times when I plan things and I want to do something just because I want to do it versus we want to do something together.
Yeah.
And I know freedom and independence is one of the bigger things that you value in life too.
I feel like a lot of the things that people crave from being single when they're in a relationship, I feel like in the right relationship, you can still retain a lot of that stuff, like being able to travel with friends or hang out with friends independently. Like that's all stuff that's totally achievable when you are with someone else. But I think where it's harder to have singleness in a relationship is like in the household, you know? I think there are times where I want to keep working or I want to keep doing a certain thing, but because I know that if I keep working, you are going to be held up from eating your dinner because you want to eat dinner with me, or not even that you want to. It's like we need to sync up our eating times or something for some reason, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I have to interrupt what I'm doing and then let me go eat with Sarah now. Those little micro things are times where I'm like, yeah, it'd be easier if I were single to like just do what I need.
Yeah.
But if I think about it, I'm like, so if I was single, I would just eat through lunch or work through lunch and not eat lunch. So is that really something I would really want to do? Like, you know what I mean?
I don't know.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is I make you eat healthy and live better.
Or yeah, let's leave it at that.
Also, ironically, this episode has somehow turned into us talking about the relationship more.
Yeah, let's
even
backtrack.
Though it's about singlehood.
Let's just stop it right here and then go back to what we need.
Yes. Something I want to tag on to this whole discussion about independence, though.
Back to our last episode, the whole tech CEO finger motions.
We just move our fingers when I say things.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, if I were not in a healthy relationship with you, then I would probably crave being single a lot right now.
Like if our relationship is bad?
Because if I've been like mostly 7 years without having my alone time and my alone space, and thinking about my 20s and how important the 20s is to forming like yourself. The person you decide to be with is so impactful on who you turn out to be. And so if I were not in a healthy relationship, I think I would crave having that alone space to figure out myself separately and independent of like a relationship or someone else, you know? So I think if I were not with you, I would want to be single a lot more.
No, that's like actually, that's super true. I know during the pandemic, like some parts of it, we were, you know, on a break.
Yeah.
But like, I truly do look at some of those memories as like formative memories by myself that I did that were actually really important for my development.
What did you do?
Like a lot of the pandemic, I just kind of biked around by myself and I took photos and videos of all the like nice scenery that I was seeing. I would put on like these podcasts that I still remember what they said in those interviews, and it made me really think about my life and then where I was at the age of 23. And that's not something you normally do when you're in a relationship with someone and like living together. You wouldn't spend all the time by yourself just exploring your thoughts and other people's thoughts on podcasts or whatever it is that you do. So that is something that I guess we miss out on, is that opportunity now.
Yeah. Well, that just reminded me that I no longer have like personal thoughts anymore. Like I do form thoughts in my head, but the moment I form a thought, I just blurt it out to you because you're readily available to listen to me. You're readily available to like pick out conversations and thoughts with me and like decipher things and talk through things. I no longer keep my thoughts to myself, which is something that I kind of miss. A lot of my growth that I did in my younger years came from just me sitting alone with my thoughts, like sitting alone and thinking through what my priorities were, what my goals were, what I want out of my relationship with someone. And this even happened when we were early in our relationship, that I didn't talk to you about everything. And I miss that era where I could just think through things by myself. You give great advice and you're a great listener, and we talk through things, and I'm very grateful that we have conversations and I can like rationalize things and think through things with you. But I do think I sometimes lack that independent thought in a way. Yeah,
you need to like sit with things sometimes before, like with some ideas that I have, you know. I think we said in another episode about you don't want to show someone the seed before it's an actual like plant.
Yep.
Because when you show them the seed, all they're going to see is that little dinky seed, right?
Yeah.
I think that is the same with like you. If you have a thought, it's not fully developed yet, and when you tell me, maybe I'm not giving you the best feed, or you just need to sit with it longer.
Yeah.
And I guess to center it back on the single people, because I don't want this just to be an exploration of our relationship again. I am curious if people who are watching this who are single, like, I guess I'm just curious to hear their thoughts on singleness and what their struggles are, and there's just their general feelings on like their place in life right now. Like we said earlier, I just feel like there's just not a lot of, you don't see much story about like singleness, right? It's always about relationship and heartbreak and family and all that, which is like awesome to talk about and think about. Mm-hmm. But I'm just curious also about, people who are single, who choose to be single, like whatever the case may be. If you care to share, I'd really love to read the comments about it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you actively choose to be single, I feel like some people take it as an act of self-love too, to put the value in like yourself and like want to explore yourself more rather than explore other people, which I think is also very valid. And you mentioned something, which is people kind of look down upon single people in this age bracket. I think when you're like in your teens and your early 20s, it's fine. No one's gonna I
think it's expected to be single.
Yeah,
but for some parts of it.
But I noticed, because 3 years ago when I was with my girlfriend group, everyone was single except for me. I was like one of 2 girls out of like 7 that were in a relationship, and the discourse was very different around what we talked about, around what was relevant, around the stories that we would share and like the discussions that we would have. And I felt a little more like silent because I just didn't have that much story to share, like whether it's like dating horror stories or random drama or sex stories. I never shared much because I guess I was just in a long-term secure relationship.
You didn't want to impress them with our stories. That guffaw, and I'm gonna call it a guffaw, was incredibly
that was
quick.
Dramatic.
You maybe should have waited like I did earlier. To do the laugh.
1, 2, 3.
Exactly. That's what you should have done.
But yeah, 3 years ago, I was definitely had nothing to say. Like
to the single friends,
because that was more the norm. But in this age bracket, late 20s,
a lot of people are in relationships.
A lot. And I see these situations flipping a little where the person who isn't in a partnership has nothing to say anymore because most of the discussion is like, oh, where do you want to settle down?
It always turns into, because it's natural to ask people about their relationships.
Yeah, how their
But then they're like, oh, let me include the single friend. Mm-hmm. How's your dating life?
Yes.
Are you with someone yet?
That's
Do you want to date?
Mm-hmm.
What's the issue? Like, I do feel like, and I'm obviously speaking for people, I imagine it's really annoying to have to deal with those questions. And like, I won't lie, I think I've probably asked that question a few times.
I have too.
At this point, I'm like, I kind of just stop. I don't know. I probably still ask it sometimes, but I try to be mindful about like how I'm asking it and why.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a very tired question for a lot of people who are single.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people who are single have high standards for themselves, which is like so fine and valid, right? It's like, yeah, you shouldn't just settle for someone just because you feel like you need to be with someone. So
the second thing that I saw very frequently on Reddit when reading these threads about people asking if you miss being single is, I think there's a sentiment that life is just a little bit more boring when you're in a relationship. I don't know if it's true for every relationship, but I get the sentiment because you stop going on dates with different people and you stop having like spontaneous experiences in a way. You start centering like the partnership a little bit more. Can't speak for everyone. You start
saying stuff like, we don't really like this restaurant.
Yes.
Or, we thought that was kind of mediocre. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The joint opinions.
Yeah. And I miss having I think we do this a lot. I use the term we way more than you do, but anytime I say anything relating to the apartment, my life, my podcast, I'm always like, oh, we, whatever. And I have to like curb myself from saying that. So
yeah, and that's not like, I don't think of us as a unit. It's more just, I guess I'm really conscious of the fact that I feel like we need to still be individuals. And not that you are. I think you really hold that too. Obviously, like I don't think you're like that codependent on me. Although we do have an episode on codependency, like she said already earlier. But I do think I think we generally do a good job of like not being too. I don't even know what I was saying.
We're saying we a lot, even when trying to describe this. This is a hard topic to discuss because we literally have not been single in a while.
Yeah, is it offensive to make an episode about single people?
Well, now I'm second guessing it too. Sorry to all my single people.
Cue Single Ladies by Beyonce playing throughout this entire episode now.
Oh, my single ladies. Oh, my single ladies.
I think we're actually going to get copyright striked because I think the AI is going to like detect the melody and
that
the
Beyonce
lyrics.
Is singing.
Yeah.
And
the Beyonce singing.
Yes, because my voice is so...
She looks really different somehow.
Oh, it's the glasses.
So that means I'm Jay-Z.
Yeah. I feel not surprising, actually very unsurprisingly unqualified to talk on this topic today, but we're going to trudge through it.
It's like us being Chinese and Korean being like,
let's talk
do we want to be Japanese? It's like, we don't really have much that qualifies us.
I think it's a little bit different than that, but yes,
okay, sure,
we'll take it.
Fair enough.
One of the other things I saw was that there's just like newness and novelty with being single. Like, I'm gonna read a direct quote from what someone said. It's, I miss going out on dates where you're nervous to meet and get to know the other person. Everyone seems so dull in comparison now. Dates are just going out and talking about little stupid things. I know everything about her. I'm just bored in a way.
Oh, they're bored of dates with their significant other?
I think that's the sentiment.
Because they already know everything about each other?
Yeah. But yeah, when was the last time you felt like you were learning something new about me?
I think we fill our time by doing weird dancing sometimes or saying stupid things.
Not for dance competitions, by the way, just for fun.
Just for fun. Not our biannual dance competition. That was a different thing. I like how we just keep talking about our relationship.
Yeah.
In an episode about being single.
This is really difficult.
I mean, I can totally see how you have less to say during dinners and stuff like that when you're not single. Or like when you've been dating for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Somehow I'm really chatty though, still.
At dinners?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like our conversations are still fine. They're good. Yeah. I think, let's frame it this way. I think if you're going through turmoil in your life, there is always a lot to talk about. And so if you are trying to do stuff or whatever the case may be, like I'm always going to have issues I can talk to you about. You're always going to have issues you can talk to me about because it's ailing you. But I think if your life is super calm and steady for a long time, there's like, what is there to talk about at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. It's a lack of reaction and conversation there.
The other thing I think...
lack of acknowledgement.
I guess at this point it's just me listing out random things I miss about being single. Not saying that I miss being single.
No, it's okay.
But I miss putting friends at my number one position. You have become my number one and I love it. But I think this happens naturally with a lot of friendships as you start deprioritizing friendships in favor of whoever you're dating. And this happens with family too. Once you start building a family, you kind of just don't see your friends anymore. Yeah, I feel like there's no way to navigate, like there's no proper way to navigate that, because you want to give the proper attention to your friends and your partner. And at the same time, there's probably more life responsibilities piling up as you get older. But that's one thing I think about, because I reflect on being a worse friend than I used to be, on how it's a choice to give time to your friends.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays, like I see.
Yeah,
I do feel like nowadays I just don't have any memories with my friends anymore, or like I do, but it's not the same as the formative memories that you really latch onto. You know, the core memories, to use the inside out terminology.
Oh yeah.
You remember some of these like high school moments, like college moments with your friends, and they're like some of the funnest memories that you have. And we have so many great memories together, but it is really different than when you're with the boys, yeah. Or like, you know, with your girls,
or my boys,
or your boys.
So it's
so it's a little sad in that I feel like the last memory that you have of that, at least that I do right now, is like bachelor parties is the last version of parties, you know, without the girlfriends, just the guys having fun, reminiscing, making new memories. Like the bachelor party is like kind of the last setting where you really do that for the last time. And like, don't get me wrong, you can do more of those, but it just gets harder. Really fewer and further in between.
I noticed too that when I make new friends, this might not be related to relationships at all. This might just be like a core experience you go through in your late 20s. When I make new friendships now, it doesn't ever stick as well as it would have 5 years ago. I don't see new friendships that often. It's usually a coffee chat, a once in a while catch up, maybe some exchanges on social media, but I can't make deep friends right now at this age. It feels much harder. It feels more taxing, and it feels impossible because the priority list gets shifted.
Yeah, in a way it's like okay, forgive me on this analogy. It's a little like game theory, because it's like your friends start getting their friends start getting into relationships. So they make a first move of you know, I can't spend time with you anymore. So then you're like, oh, okay, I need to find friends that are not you. But then like everyone keeps increasingly getting into relationships, and you're like, now I have to get into a relationship, because I can't just have this, you know, whatever I had at like 24 with this amazing community of friends is no longer here because everyone got into relationships. So now maybe it would have been best for everyone if they actually just like stayed friends and like hung out all the time.
Yeah.
But because people started getting to these relationships, you kind of just have to do it because everyone else is doing it. Which I don't know. I feel like I guess that's the idea of like a commune, right? Like you're raised by the village and everyone is everyone's children.
Not a bad idea. Now that I'm thinking about it.
No, but it's just I think it is really so sad that this idea of like community that's not strictly romantic like gets lost. And you know, I guess we are participating, but sometimes I think about it, it's like those memories of, you know, when you're with your friends is just, it's like it's hard to recapture it.
Yeah. There's also a lack of like funness now with adult friends. It's probably self-imposing. Like I bring it upon myself.
We are the least fun friends.
We are probably the least
in our friend groups probably.
Wait, I'm pretty fun. I'm pretty fun with the right people. I'm not gonna lie.
I just mean we're not the type, we don't set up stuff. We don't proactively bring people into like do stuff, and we just kind of like, if we're there, we're a good time maybe, but other than that, it's like, you know what I mean?
Again, I think I am with the right people.
A good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to come up with games and random like
You're a Robert Pattinson movie with A24.
Is there a movie called Games by Robert Pattinson?
It's called Good Time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a whole discussion in itself. Like, when did I become boring? ?
Since birth?
Oh. So I guess to answer the broad question, do you miss being single? What is your response?
I miss aspects of being single that were easier to achieve when I was single, but they are actually totally achievable in a relationship. And all I need to do is actually put intention and thought behind recapturing that while in a relationship, and be proactive about making friendships or keeping friendships and setting up trips or events and hangouts. And I can recapture it. I just choose not to because I don't see the possibilities in life sometimes. Yeah.
That's a good.
What about you?
I think I do miss aspects of it, like you mentioned. I think I just miss who I was when I was single. Yeah, if I'm reflecting on yeah, I was a bad bitch. If I'm reflecting on how I felt about myself in terms of like self-perception, I think when I was single, I had a lot more confidence in myself. I have a lot more confidence on other things at this current age, whether it's like socializing and being good at what I'm doing, but I had a lot of self-confidence around just dating in general because I felt like it's easy to feel great about yourself when you're getting validation from many people, not just the person that you're with. So I miss who I was as a single woman, but I don't miss some aspects of it. I think this whole episode we've been trying to like force the narrative of, oh, it's really great being single and there's great things. Obviously, like for those of you who do want to get into a relationship and you've been, you know, trying to find your person, there's so many aspects of singlehood that can be challenging too. Like there's a feeling of insecurity I had when I was single, that I would be in many toxic relationships and with people that made me feel insecure about myself. And I just hated that feeling of always doubting myself and always questioning if I was doing something wrong or if someone else was doing something wrong. I also hated that feeling of unknowingness, like not knowing when I'd be able to find the right person, if there was the right person out there for me. I spent a lot of my late teens, early 20s. No, wait. We got together when I spent a lot of my late teens questioning my standards and questioning my options and questioning if I had even the right circumstances to attract like a person that I wanted. And there was just so much self-doubt in that era that I don't miss. I think singlehood can be hard when things don't play out after you give it so many tries and so much effort and you just put your best foot forward, but no one else is doing the same. You know, yeah, I think that's one of the most challenging things. It's that relationships and love don't always correlate to how hard of an effort you put forward, especially in the early stages of trying to find your person or people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up the challenges too, because there are challenges to being single as well.
I think you already touched on this too, but the societal pressure to date is pretty heavy as well. And the societal pressure to date in a specific format is pretty challenging to navigate too, because I remember it was so taboo to meet someone on Tinder when we were in school.
Was it?
Well, I think there was just like
I guess it was just like, oh, that's just for hookups.
Yeah, like it felt like very not serious. I don't know. I feel like people must feel pressure to be on dating apps nowadays. You know, if you're not with someone, everyone asks you if you're on Hinge or Tinder.
I feel like the line of questioning is usually like, oh, you're not having success on the dating apps? Why? Is there something like off about your strategy? Let's talk about it. I feel like it's a lot of the undertone when people ask questions. Not that they're intending that, but...
Yeah, no, that's true. I think dating can also be really overwhelming. When you want to get into a relationship and things aren't playing out, it can be really overwhelming to just face the fact that you just have to keep trying. Yeah, I always romanticize those stories of people meeting organically at like, I don't know, a concert or like the bakery and having a conversation, but that just doesn't happen as often, you know? If you have a lovely story about how you met your partner that is not Hinge or even Hinge, please do share. But I just think it is very overwhelming to be single and to be wanting to be not single.
Yeah, which is why sometimes I feel like I do want to play matchmaker a little bit. Like if I have a single girl friend over here and a single guy friend over here.
You have a single girlfriend?
Yeah. And what about it? I'm just kidding. But I feel like a lot of the time they don't necessarily fit.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, I wish I could make an introduction.
Oh, but you try to force it because you're...
No, I don't try to force it. I don't force it. But it's just, I do think about it. I'm like, oh, it'd be nice if I could make some connection for them. But it's like, maybe I'm just saying I don't have enough friends to be able to like be a connector for people.
Oh, I see.
But I would like to be.
You have a lot of friends. Just not a lot of single friends, I guess.
Fair enough.
If I'm really, really thinking about it too, I just also hated when I was single, the feeling of always starting over. When a relationship or a situationship failed, it was back to the drawing board, you know?
Yeah. It's like all that talking and conversation. It's like, this is useless information in your brain now, right?
Yeah, sometimes you also give so much to people in the early stages. Like, I used to overshare a lot.
And now you do it online instead.
That's true. But I shared everything about my story up front. I would like start talking about my family life. I would start talking about my mental health and my, different things. And so every time I had to scrap that situationship or relationship where I put some trust in people, felt kind of sad, like a parting of ways, but nothing has even formed yet. Yeah, and I lament some decisions and things I've shared with people, but that's like the nature of when you're single. It's like you put yourself out there, you try to be the best form of yourself, and you see if anything sticks. This goes for friendships too, but making friends is kind of similar. I used to always think I could be friends with anyone that I wanted to. Not from a cocky perspective, like, oh, I can rizz everyone up. I just had an optimistic view of how people were and that I could be friends with anyone. I felt that same way about relationships. So when I was single and trying to find people, it's not that I would try to force it onto people, because if someone wanted to, just be not together and not official, it's fine. It was fine by me. But I always felt like I could make things work. And I think I did that with you too. It's like, even in our off period where we broke up, I felt like we could fix things and patch that up. And that's maybe something I carry from my family, because in our family, it's like you always try to fix something. You don't try to like just drop it and leave it. But for romantic partnerships or people that I was very fond of, when things didn't work out or like things didn't happen the way that I wanted it to, I always questioned if something was wrong with me, because in my head, like, if things didn't work out and we couldn't fix it, then clearly something's wrong, and that's not the case. Like, now I know so much more about compatibility and finding your person is not necessarily correlated to you being a good person or not. It's just compatibility is so important, and sometimes your lifestyle decisions, your lifestyle choices, your personality traits just don't mesh, and the wrong person brings the wrong things out of you. And it took me a long time to figure that out and realize that, but it is such a game to play, this whole like dating experience, that I don't miss that element of being insecure and kind of like confused about everything.
Yeah, I do think you have a very, I guess let's call it a sustainable mindset. You like to fix things.
Oh, yes.
You don't like to waste things. If you've invested a certain amount into it, whether it's like something you bought or a relationship, you're like,
yep,
if I let this go unfixed, that means I wasted the investment I put into it.
Yes.
And it's also a very true statement. Like, sometimes it's not a fixable thing, like the relationship, it's just like, it just didn't match. It's like a screw that didn't fit into the right hole or whatever. That was a weird analogy.
Wait, we're talking about holes
it didn't fit into the hole.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you're more qualified to talk on that topic than I am. So I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I guess this topic today was maybe a little more broad and maybe not something that we're super qualified to talk about now. Now that we're in a 7-year relationship, but I reminisce a lot of the times about what I did wrong and what I did right when I was a single woman.
But don't reminisce too hard.
Yeah.
Just think about it a bit.
Yeah. I'm definitely not reminiscing about anything about that time.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But I think I learned a lot about myself when I was single. A lot more than... It feels like an active effort to learn about myself now.
Really?
Yeah. Back then I would sit with my thoughts. Going back to what I was saying earlier, I would sit with my thoughts and think about myself relative to someone else, like how I was behaving with someone else, how I was like acting, how this relationship might not be good for me, but like, why am I in it? Like, I would like really dig into my thoughts, because situationships and toxic relationships would bring it out of me. Like, I would think all the time, but I don't do that much of that anymore. It's just too much of a two-way street nowadays. That I guess I do my learning through talking with you, but I don't do much of my learning through my internal dialogue that is meant just for me.
I mean, it sounds dumb, but like in some ways you've stopped challenging yourself a little
bit. Yeah.
Like those situations made you grow because you're like, oh, this is new and difficult. But I mean, we have difficult times too, like in terms of conversations, but it's different. Like, there's a certain level of like, you're not nitpicking how you talk to me about certain things, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not thinking about it that way either.
Yes. Yeah. It's a different mode of thinking. You're like problem solving instead of picking out a book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
How would you approach your single life, and what do you think you'd be like as a single person? Let's say if
Yeah.
In the off chance scenario that, let's say I get abducted by aliens and you never see me again.
Okay, that was the scenarios I was thinking about
for sure.
too, just in my head.
So, But let's say I'm out of your life for whatever reason completely forever. After your grieving period, what do you do?
I would put up pictures of you all around our home, and anytime any male, female, or specimen walks into the home, I would be like, this is the late James that I love dearly. Do not talk to me.
That's all you would do?
Please exit. Yeah. No.
That's an ideal answer from me. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
No.
No, I would try to get abducted by aliens too. I'm like, I want to be with him. Yeah. No, we ran out of space on the memory card, so
only.
I hope you guys stay along as we are on audio only. But I think I would be more stressed because I am in my late 20s, and late 20s is not late to start dating. But after having a 7-year relationship, that's something that I would hold on to through any relationship for the next few years. And so I think I would only get past that relationship that we had at like 34.
Do you think you would like party girl it up right now? Like dead every night, just like let loose? Or what do you think you would do?
Realistically, I don't think that's in me anymore.
Yeah.
I don't crave the fun. I don't crave the fun that I had in my early 20s. And maybe that's what made dating so exciting back then, is meeting someone felt very exciting. And it felt like I had a lot of opportunities because I was always going out. I was always like trying to be a fun person. But now I feel like I'm such a serious person that dating feels also like a very serious task, and maybe a bit of a chore, because I felt like I would have felt like I was so close to getting, the long-term life with you, that having to start over from scratch is intimidating. What about you? What if
That wasn't as fun of a question as I thought it would be, but it was very touching and deep and nice.
Well, you thought I was going to say, yeah, I'm going to go live it out.
No, I don't even know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
What about you?
What would I do?
Yeah, why don't you give us the fun answer?
If you got abducted?
No. Let's say Michael B. Jordan just saw me at a bar one day and was like, hey, let's get married. And I was just like, yeah, let's go get married. And then I was like, bye, James. What would you do?
I would switch my career to acting. I would train with the best acting teachers. I would learn the Meisner technique. In order to beat him in auditions. So I can pass him up. He's going to get passed up for roles because I'm a better actor than him. And that's how I'm going to get back at him.
So you have more vengeance. You wouldn't even occupy yourself with dating.
Yeah. F dating. I'm going to get back at Michael B. Jordan. I'm going to show him I'm a better actor than he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that for you.
That's it.
No, but seriously, what would you
if I was single again?
Yeah, what would you be like right now?
I think I would just like pour myself into my hobbies, honestly.
Really?
I think I would just like start reading again. I think I would just occupy my time at things that need thought to progress in, like a skill, just for fun, to like distract myself, I think, probably. And then after 10 years, if the right woman approaches me, I'd be like,
10
why
years?
not?
I guess you don't have that biological clock, huh?
No, I'm timeless.
I guess what you're saying is you probably wouldn't preoccupy yourself with dating if something happened between us. And you think you would just spend more of your time doing the things that you love, not finding love.
Well said. Yeah, I think all of the things that we said we miss about being single are still valid. So, one, why would I get over it that quickly and like try to find someone else? And two, part of being single is like getting to do those things by yourself and invest in who you are. So I'd probably just do that right after whatever, Michael B. Jordan takes you or whatever the scenario is.
Our honeymoon's going to be in Ibiza.
Ibiza. That's how people say it, right? Ibiza.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation about self-love and when you actually get to explore yourself and like care for yourself and develop that relationship with yourself. I think a lot of people neglect that. And when I've been in relationships, I think self-love gets pushed down a little bit because you're navigating love through the lens of a partnership. So that's one thing that's undervalued, I think, which is exploring the relationship with yourself, which I guess is what you're getting at, that you would put more of your time into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right. So I think if you're single listening to this episode, whether you do want to be in a relationship and you're looking, or you're perfectly content being by yourself and being single, I think there's a lot of value in the time that you have with yourself. There's a lot of like experience that you can have, and like actually memorable times you can have being not with a partner. And like I said earlier in this episode, a lot of those things, at least for me when I was single, was like formative for me. And like I think back to the development I had during those times as a person. And maybe I was longing for someone else to be in my life, but I grew in ways that I couldn't have if I was in a relationship. And so yeah, no matter whether you do want to be with someone right now or you're perfectly good being alone, you should cherish this time and use this time as a way to develop who you are, be selfish with your time, develop the things that you like. And there's a lot of merit in finding yourself like in either scenario, whether single or in a relationship.
That was so beautiful and so well said.
Thank you.
Anyways, thank you for joining us on this Soju Friday. We hope you guys enjoyed the podcast episode. If you did, please leave a like, a subscribe, a follow, or hit that bell to turn on post notifications on YouTube. And we will see you next week on Soju Friday. Bye.
Bloopers.
It's bloopers. You haven't done a movie Rex in a while. I wanted to ask if you have any movie Rex, because people really like your movie Rex.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, long-awaited sequel to my last one from a very long time ago.
This was probably half a year ago.
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Huh? My movie recs are not going to be that different from your movie recs because we watched similarly really good ones recently.
Yeah.
The first movie rec from me would be DD. So
Ah.
DD is an independent film that came out, I think, in 2024, and it did really well at, I think, Sundance or one of the festivals. We watched it a few weeks ago, and I just feel like it's the most accurate representation of 2000s kids, like people who grew up during that time, and not just for Asian people, honestly, but just for like anyone who grew up in that time is really relatable, and the story was really great. So
yeah,
I don't know what I expected from it, but I just was pretty impressed by it and was moved by it. So.
Yeah, that was honestly one of my favorite movies from this year. It had so many artifacts of that time that I forgot about, and it reminded me and made me kind of like reflect on my childhood and what I remembered growing up. And on top of that, I really never I never enjoy movies that don't really have a plot that much. Most of the time when I watch a movie, especially coming of age movies, which I know you love and enjoy, I have a hard time really finding the point in it a lot of the times. But for this one, it just felt so, it hit home. Like it really just felt so near and dear to my experience growing up. It made me cry. It made me feel sad. It made me feel pensive. It made me feel like all the emotions, and really made me appreciate my life and my childhood too. So I think that was a great movie. I think the second movie that you're expecting me to talk about is Anora, and that one won Best Picture, and also a lot of the awards for
I think like 5 awards or something.
Oscars.
It's crazy.
This is a controversial one to say, and I hope if you did watch it and you didn't like it, that you don't turn off the podcast because of this. But I just thought that one was so raw, and that's something with Sean Baker as a director that I feel like his movies are always so raw and true to whatever reality he's trying to build. And I just thought also the casting was great. Everyone felt so authentically the character. The plot was a mixture of like very serious, it
was like serious, but also had a ton of humorous elements to it.
Yeah. And I thought it was just a very tasteful way to depict the story of a sex worker. And that's just like an
undertold story.
Yeah.
That director is so good. You guys should watch any of his movies. Sean Baker.
Tangerine,
Florida Project.
Mm-hmm.
Missing a few.
Yeah.
Red Rocket, I think, is one or something. No, that was a different one.
Yeah.